Captain Jake Morrison stared at the screen in front of him. The numbers didn't make sense. His ship, the Horizon Dawn, had been flying through empty space for 3 weeks. They were looking for new planets that humans could live on. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. "Captain, you need to see this," said Lisa Park. She was the ship's science officer. Her voice sounded excited and worried at the same time. Jake walked over to her station. Lisa was pointing at a strange reading on her computer. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "It's an energy signal, but it's not like anything we've seen before. It's old, really old, but it's also human." Jake frowned. "That's not possible. Humans have only been in deep space for 50 years. We've never been this far out before." Lisa shook her head. "I know it sounds crazy, but the signal is definitely human. The patterns match our technology, but they're different somehow. Like, they're from a much older time." Ben Carter, the first officer, came over to look. He was a tall man with gray hair, who had been in space longer than anyone else on the ship. "Where is this signal coming from?" he asked. Lisa typed on her keyboard. The main screen changed to show a map of the nearby space. A red dot was blinking in the distance. "It's about 6 hours away at full speed. The signal is weak, but it's constant. Whatever is making it has been out there for a long time." Jake thought about it. They were supposed to be mapping new star systems, not chasing mystery signals. But this was too strange to ignore. "Set course for the signal," he said. "Let's see what's out there." The next few hours passed slowly. The crew was excited, but nervous. Amy Ross, who handled communications, kept trying to make contact with whatever was sending the signal. She got no response. "Captain," called Tony Wells from the security station. "I'm picking up something on long-range sensors. It's big." Jake looked at the screen. In the distance, a dark shape was floating in space. As they got closer, they could see it better. It was a ship, but unlike any ship they had ever seen. The ship was huge. It was at least 3 times bigger than the Horizon Dawn. Its hull was dark gray and covered in scars. Strange weapons stuck out from its sides like spikes. It looked like it had been built for war. "My God," whispered Ben. "Look at the size of that thing." Lisa was scanning the ship with every sensor they had. "Captain, this ship is over 2,000 years old. The metal shows signs of extreme age, but the core systems are still active. 2,000 years. Jake couldn't believe it. "That's impossible. Humans weren't even in space 2,000 years ago." "I'm telling you what the sensors say," Lisa replied. "This ship is ancient, but it's definitely human." Amy suddenly looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting something. The ship is scanning us." Before Jake could respond, alarms started going off all over the bridge. Red lights flashed as the computer announced a weapons lock. "Evasive action," Jake shouted. Ben quickly took control of the ship's movement. The Horizon Dawn rolled to the side just as a beam of energy shot past them. The ancient ship was firing. "At them, return fire," Jake ordered. Tony shook his head. "Captain, our weapons won't do much damage to that thing. Its armor is too thick." Another energy beam barely missed them. Ben was flying the ship as fast as he could, but the ancient vessel kept tracking them with its weapons. "Amy, try to contact them again," Jake said. "Tell them we're human. Tell them we're not enemies." Amy worked frantically at her station. "I'm trying every frequency we have. Wait, ... I'm getting something." A voice came through the speakers. It was speaking English, but the accent was strange and old-fashioned. The words were hard to understand. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately. State your mission and allegiance. This sector is under patrol by the Earth Defense Fleet." Jake looked at his crew. Earth Defense Fleet? He had never heard of such a thing. Amy handed him the microphone. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the exploration ship Horizon Dawn. We are human. We mean no harm. We're just exploring this area. of space. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, sounding suspicious. You claim to be human, but your ship design is unknown. The swarm has used deception before. Prove your identity. The swarm, Jake whispered to Ben. What's he talking about? Ben shrugged. He had never heard of anything called the swarm either. Sir, Jake said into the microphone, I don't know what the swarm is. We're from Earth. We left our home system 3 weeks ago to explore new worlds. For human colonies. Another long pause. Impossible. Earth was overrun by the swarm 800 years ago. No human colonies exist beyond the defense perimeter. The crew looked at each other in shock. Earth overrun. Defense perimeter. None of this made sense. Lisa was still scanning the ancient ship. Captain, I'm reading thousands of life signs aboard that vessel. Most appear to be in some kind of suspended animation. The weapons on the ancient ship powered down slightly, but they were still aimed at the Horizon Dawn. You will prepare to be boarded, the voice said. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction. We will determine if you are truly human or another swarm trick. Jake knew they had no choice. The ancient ship was too powerful to fight. Understood, he said. We'll cooperate. As the Horizon Dawn moved closer to the massive vessel, Jake wondered what they had stumbled into. Who were these people? What was this swarm they kept talking about? And why did they think Earth had been destroyed? The answers would come soon. Enough. But Jake had a feeling that nothing would ever be the same again. Tony Wells checked his weapon one more time. As security chief, he would lead the boarding party onto the ancient ship. Jake had wanted to go himself, but Tony convinced him that the captain should stay with his ship. Remember, Jake said over the radio, we don't know what we're walking into. These people think Earth was destroyed. They might not trust us. Tony nodded to his team. Besides himself, he was taking Kate Adams from engineering and Dr. Sam Miller. Kate could figure out how their old technology worked, and Sam could help if anyone was hurt. The airlock connected with a loud clang. Tony could hear the ancient ship's systems working to match pressure and atmosphere. When the green light came on, he opened the door. The corridor beyond was dark and cold. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. Everything was made of thick metal plates that looked like they could stop a bomb. Scratches and dents covered every surface. This ship had seen many battles. Hello, Tony called out. His voice echoed in the empty hallway. A mechanical voice answered from speakers in the ceiling. Boarding party identified. Proceed to Deck 7. Section 12. Any deviation from the designated path will result in immediate termination. Kate looked at her scanner. The ship's layout is strange. It's like a maze. Most of the corridors lead to dead ends or weapon stations. They followed the directions through the winding passages. The air smelled old and metallic. Every few minutes, they passed windows that showed the inside of the ship. Tony could see huge rooms filled with sleeping pods and weapons that looked powerful and scary. This place gives me the creeps, Sam whispered. Finally, they reached a large room filled with computers and screens. The technology looked primitive, but somehow advanced at the same time. In the center stood a tall column with lights flashing all around it. Welcome aboard the Iron Resolve, the mechanical voice said. The column projected a blue image of a human face. It looked stern and military. I am the ship's artificial intelligence. You may call me Commander. Tony stepped forward. I'm Tony. Wells, Security Chief of the Horizon Dawn? We're here to talk. The AI's image stared at him. Your genetic patterns confirm you are human. However, this creates several problems. According to my records, no human ships should exist beyond the defense perimeter. What's this defense perimeter you keep talking about? Kate asked. Commander's image flickered. The perimeter was established 1,847 years ago to contain the swarm threat. A line of ships creates a barrier around swarm-controlled space. No ship passes in either direction. Sam looked confused. But we've been exploring space for decades. We've never seen any barriers or defense lines. Impossible, Commander said firmly. All human colonies beyond Earth were evacuated or destroyed during the war. The perimeter ships have maintained their positions ever since. Tony felt a chill run down his spine. Commander, Earth wasn't destroyed. We just came from there. There are billions of humans living throughout the galaxy. The AI was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke again, and its voice sounded different, somehow, less certain. Show me proof. Kate pulled out a datapad and connected it to one of the ship's computer terminals. She uploaded star charts, population records, and communications from dozens of human worlds. Commander processed the information quickly. This data suggests that human civilization has not only survived but expanded significantly. Yet my records show the swarm overran all human territories outside the Sol system. What exactly is the swarm? Tony asked. The room's lights dimmed, and the walls became screens showing images of space battles. Tony saw human ships fighting against strange alien vessels that seemed to change shape as they moved. The swarm is a collective intelligence, Commander explained. They consume technology and biological matter to grow stronger. Each ship they capture becomes part of their fleet. Each world they take adds to their knowledge. The images showed planets covered in dark, web-like structures, cities that had been transformed into alien hives. It was horrifying. The war began when they attacked our outer colonies, Commander continued. They moved fast, taking system after system. Earth's fleet tried to stop them but failed. The decision was made to create a perimeter and hold them back. Kate was studying the technical displays. These ships, the Iron Resolve and others like it, they've been out here for almost 2,000 years, correct? We maintain the watch. We keep the swarm contained. Tony thought about this. But if you've been successful, how did humanity expand? How did we colonize new worlds? That should not have been possible, Commander said, unless... The AI paused, processing new possibilities. Unless the perimeter has been more effective than calculated, if the swarm has been truly contained, human expansion could have proceeded in other directions. Sam stepped closer to the central column. Commander, are there people still alive on this ship? Yes. The Iron Resolve carries a crew of 50,000. Most remain in hibernation. Only essential personnel wake for duty shifts. 50,000 people. Tony couldn't believe it. How long have they been asleep? Hibernation cycles vary. Some crew members have been awake for subjective decades, taking multiple shifts to maintain the ship. Others have slept for centuries. Kate was looking at the technical readouts. The hibernation technology is incredible. It's more advanced than anything we have. The hibernation systems were developed specifically for this mission, Commander explained. Long-term space patrol required crews that could survive indefinitely. Tony felt the weight of what they had discovered. These people have been out here for 2,000 years, thinking they were the last humans alive, protecting a civilization they thought was dead. We protect what remains, Commander said simply. It is our duty. But don't you see? Sam said excitedly. Humanity survived. We're thriving. Your sacrifice worked. Commander's image flickered again. If what you say is true, then our mission parameters may need to be re-evaluated. However, I cannot simply take your word. The swarm has used deception before. What would convince you? Tony asked. I must speak with my current command crew. They have been fighting this war longer than anyone. They will know how to verify your claims. Kate looked at her scanner. Where is your command crew? They are currently in hibernation. However, given these circumstances, I believe it is time to wake them. The AI's image became more focused. Be warned. My crew has been at war for a very long time. They may not react well to strangers, even human ones. They have learned to trust no one. Tony nodded. We understand. We just want to help. Help. Commander seemed surprised by the word. It has been many centuries since anyone offered to help. We will see if your offer is genuine. As alarms began to sound throughout the ship, Tony realized they were about to meet people who had been fighting a war that the rest of humanity had forgotten. People who had been holding the line for 2,000 years, believing they were all that stood between civilization and destruction. He hoped these ancient warriors would see them as allies, not enemies, because something told him that humanity was going to need all the friends it could get. The hibernation chamber was huge and cold. Hundreds of sleeping pods lined the walls, each one glowing with a soft blue light. Most were empty, but a few still showed signs of life inside. Tony watched as Dr. Sam Miller worked with the ship's medical systems to wake the command crew. The process was slow and careful. These people had been asleep for decades. The first one is coming around, Sam said, checking the readings on a nearby pod. Steam hissed as the pod opened. Inside, a man sat up slowly. He was middle-aged with gray hair and scars on his face and arms. His eyes were sharp and alert, like someone who had seen too much fighting. The man climbed out of the pod and immediately looked around for weapons. When he saw Tony and his team, his hand went to a pistol that wasn't there. "Who are you?" the man demanded. His voice was rough from long sleep. "I'm Tony Wells. We're from another human ship. We found you here." The man's eyes narrowed. "Human? Prove it." Before Tony could answer, more pods were opening. A woman with short black hair and a younger man with burn scars on his hands emerged. They also looked ready to fight. "Colonel Stone," Commander's voice came from the speakers. "These individuals claim to represent a surviving human civilization." The gray-haired man, Colonel Stone, stood straighter. "Impossible. All human colonies were evacuated or destroyed." Kate stepped forward with her datapad. "Sir, we have records of hundreds of human worlds. Billions of people are alive and thriving." The woman, who wore the rank of Major, snatched the datapad. "Nina Fox, Tactical Officer. These records could be faked." The younger man, Pete Baker, according to his uniform, was examining Tony's equipment. "Their technology is different. More advanced in some ways, but they don't have hibernation tech or proper armor." Colonel Stone studied Tony's face carefully. "The swarm has used human appearance before. They capture our people and copy them. We're not copies," Tony said firmly. "We're real humans from real colonies. Earth is still there. It was never destroyed." Stone laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Earth died 800 years ago. I was there. I saw the swarm ships in orbit." Sam spoke up, "Sir, with respect, that's not possible. Earth is fine. We have communication records, trade agreements, everything." Nina Fox was going through the datapad with practiced speed. "These star charts show colonies in sectors that should be crawling with swarm ships." "What if?" Pete said slowly. "What?" "If our containment worked better than we thought." Stone shook his head. "The swarm doesn't give up. They adapt. They evolve. They would have found a way through." Commander's voice filled the room again. "Colonel, these individuals have provided extensive documentation. Their genetic patterns are human. Their technology, while different, shows clear human origin." "Documentation can be faked," Stone replied. "Genetics can be copied. The only way to know for sure is to test them." Tony didn't like the sound of that. "What kind of test?" Nina Fox smiled, and it wasn't a friendly smile. "The swarm can copy many things, but they can't copy memories. Real humans have childhood memories, family stories, things that can't be programmed." For the next hour, Stone and his team questioned Tony, Kate, and Sam about everything. Where they grew up, what Earth looked like, what foods they ate, what games they played as children. The questions came fast and covered details no computer could fake. Finally, Stone stepped back. Either they're the most sophisticated swarm copies ever made, or they're telling the truth. I vote for the truth, Pete said. Their story explains why we haven't seen swarm expansion in the past few centuries. Nina wasn't convinced, or it means the swarm is preparing something big. Commander interrupted their discussion. Colonel, incoming transmission from Guardian Station 7. The room's screens came alive with the image of another military officer. She looked tired and worried. Alex, thank God you're awake, the woman said. We've got problems. Guardian Station 3 went dark 6 hours ago. Station 9 is reporting massive swarm movement in their sector. Stone's face went pale. Karen, slow down. What kind of movement? Probe ships. Dozens of them. They're testing our defenses, looking for weak spots. We think they know the perimeter is failing. Tony felt ice in his stomach. Failing? What does that mean? Nina answered grimly. It means we're losing the war. After 2,000 years, we're finally losing. The officer on the screen continued. Alex, we've lost contact with stations 2, 5, and 11. If the pattern holds, we have maybe weeks before they break through. Stone turned to Tony. If you're really from a thriving human civilization, you need to warn them. The swarm is coming. Kate was looking at the tactical displays. How many ships are in this defense perimeter? Originally, 50, Pete answered. Now, maybe 12 are still operational. 12 ships holding back an entire alien empire. Sam sounded shocked. We've been doing it for 2,000 years, Stone said proudly. But our numbers are getting smaller. Our ships are breaking down. We're running out of people who remember how to fight the swarm. Commander spoke again. Colonel, I am detecting movement in Sector 15. 3 large swarm vessels are approaching our position. Alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Nina and Pete ran to weapon stations, while Stone moved to the command chair. Battle stations, Stone ordered. Wake Combat Crew Alpha and Beta. Prepare for engagement. Tony grabbed Stone's arm. Sir, our ship is out there. The Horizon Dawn. They don't know how to fight these things. Stone looked at him for a moment, then spoke to Commander. Open a channel to the unknown vessel. Jake, can you hear me? Tony said into the communication system. Tony, thank God. What's your situation, Captain? You need to move away from here, fast. There are alien ships coming, and they're hostile. On the main screen, Tony could see 3 dark shapes approaching. They moved in ways that seemed impossible, bending and flowing like living things. My God, Kate whispered. Those ships are alive. Stone nodded grimly. The swarm doesn't build ships. They grow them. Each one is part of the collective intelligence. The swarm ships were getting closer. Tony could see the Horizon Dawn in the distance. Small and vulnerable. We have to help them, Tony said. We will, Stone replied. But first, they need to learn what they're really up against. The Iron Resolve's weapons came online with a deep humming sound. After 2,000 years of war, the ancient ship was ready to fight again. Tony watched the screens and realized that everything was about to change. The peaceful expansion of humanity through space had been possible because people like Stone and his crew had been out here, holding the line against an enemy that never stopped, never gave up, and never forgot. Now that enemy was stirring again, and Tony wondered if anyone was ready for what was coming. The swarm ships moved like nothing Tony had ever seen. They twisted and flowed through space, avoiding the Iron Resolve's weapon fire with impossible grace. Their hulls rippled and changed shape as they attacked. Direct hit on Swarm Vessel 2, Nina Fox reported from her weapon station. Minimal damage. Colonel Stone gripped his command chair as the ship shook from enemy fire. They've adapted since our last engagement. Their armor is stronger. On the main screen, Tony watched the Horizon Dawn trying to help. Jake was firing everything he had at the swarm ships, but the modern weapons barely scratched their surface. Captain Morrison, Stone said over the radio. Cease fire and retreat. Your weapons are not effective against swarm technology. We can't just leave you here, Jake's voice crackled back. You can, and you will. Your ship represents proof that humanity survived. That proof is more important than this battle, Pete. Baker looked up from his engineering station. Colonel, we've got a problem. The swarm ships are transmitting. They're sending our location and ship data somewhere. Tony felt his blood turn cold. What does that mean? It means the swarm now knows about your ship, Stone explained. They'll analyze its design and try to figure out where it came from. The battle raged for another 20 minutes. The Iron Resolve's ancient but specialized weapons slowly wore down the swarm ships. One by one, they stopped moving and drifted dark in space. All swarm vessels destroyed, Nina reported. But not before they transmitted everything they learned. Stone turned to Tony. We need to contact the rest of your fleet immediately. The swarm knows about them now. Commander's voice filled the bridge. Colonel, I am receiving communications from other Guardian stations. The swarm has launched major attacks across the entire perimeter. The main screen showed a map of local space. Red dots marked swarm attacks, while blue dots showed Guardian ships. There were far more red dots than blue ones. Guardian Station 4 has fallen, Commander continued. Station 7 is under heavy attack. Station 12 reports massive swarm. Fleet movements. Kate was studying the tactical display. How many ships are coming? Thousands, Stone said grimly. The swarm has been building up their forces for centuries. They were waiting for the right moment to break out. Amy Ross's voice came over the radio from the Horizon Dawn. Iron Resolve, we're receiving emergency signals from multiple sources. Ships identifying themselves as Guardians are calling for help. Stone looked older than his years. We've been fighting a holding action for 2,000 years, but our numbers are too small now. We can't hold them back anymore. Tony felt the weight of what he was hearing. Sir, you have to tell us how to fight them. Our people don't know anything about the swarm. Your modern weapons won't work, Pete explained. Swarm ships absorb energy and use it to repair themselves. You need specific frequencies and targeting systems. Nina was working at her station. Colonel, I'm picking up a massive energy signature beyond the perimeter. Something big is coming. The screen changed to show deep space sensors. In the distance, something enormous was moving toward them. It was bigger than anything Tony had ever imagined. Mothership, Stone whispered. I haven't seen one of those in 300 years. The thing on the screen was the size of a small moon. Its surface crawled with activity as smaller ships launched from docking bays. How do we fight something like that? Sam asked. We don't, Stone said simply. We run, and we warn everyone we can. Commander interrupted them. Colonel, the Guardian network is failing. Only 7 stations are still responding. The perimeter has been breached in multiple locations. Stone stood up slowly. Then it's over. After 2,000 years, we've finally lost. Tony grabbed his arm. No, it's not over. You said it yourself. Humanity survived and grew. We have thousands of ships, millions of people. We can fight back. With what? Your energy weapons will only make them stronger. Your ships aren't armored for this kind of war. Kate had been studying the Iron Resolve's weapon systems. What if we could adapt our technology? Combine your anti-swarm weapons with our modern ships? Pete looked interested. It might work. Our weapon frequencies could be programmed into their computers. There's no time, Nina said. That swarm mothership will be here in 6 hours. Even if we could modify 1 or 2 ships, it wouldn't be enough. Stone walked to the communications station. Commander, open a channel to all Guardian stations. Emergency frequency. The screen filled with images of other Guardian ship bridges. Tony counted only 6 other ships responding. This is Guardian Command, Stone said formally. The perimeter has failed. Swarm breakthrough is confirmed. All Guardian ships are authorized to abandon containment positions. An older woman on one of the screens spoke up. Alex, that's suicide. If we abandon our posts, the swarm will spread across the galaxy. They're already spreading, Carol. We've done all we can. It's time for the final mission. Tony didn't like the sound of that. What final mission? Stone turned to him. We're going to attack the swarm home worlds. All remaining Guardian ships will assault their core systems. It's a suicide run, but if we can damage their central command, it might give your people time to prepare. That's insane, Sam protested. I'll be killed. We've been dead for 2,000 years, Stone replied. We just kept fighting anyway. The other Guardian commanders were nodding agreement. These people had spent millennia preparing for this moment. Iron resolve to Horizon Dawn, Stone called. Captain Morrison, you need to leave immediately. Get back to your fleet and warn them. Tell them everything you've learned about the swarm. Jake's voice was firm. We're not leaving you behind. Yes, you are. Your job now is to save humanity. Our job is to buy you time. Tony looked around the bridge at these ancient warriors. They were ready to die to protect people they'd never met, worlds they'd never seen. There has to be another way, he said desperately. Nina was monitoring communications. Colonel, I'm receiving a message from Admiral Rick Hayes of the human fleet. He says they're mobilizing to help us. Stone looked surprised. They're what? The screen changed to show a middle-aged man in a modern military uniform. This is Admiral Hayes. We've received your warnings about the swarm threat. The entire human fleet is moving to support you. Admiral, with respect, your ships aren't equipped for this fight, Stone warned. Then you'll have to teach us quickly. We're not letting you face this alone. Tony felt a surge of hope. Maybe there was a chance after all, but on the long range sensors, the swarm mothership kept getting closer, and more enemy vessels were pouring through the broken perimeter. The real battle was just beginning. The combined human fleet was the largest Tony had ever seen. Hundreds of modern ships surrounded the remaining Guardian vessels. Admiral Rick Hayes had brought everything he could gather in just 2 days. Colonel Stone stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, looking at the tactical display. Admiral, your ships are impressive, but they're not ready for what's coming. Then make them ready, Hayes replied over the communication link. We have the best engineers in the fleet working with your people. Kate had been working with Pete Baker for hours, learning how to modify modern weapons to fight the swarm. It's not perfect, she reported, but we've managed to adapt about 60 ships with anti-swarm frequencies. 60 ships against thousands. Nina Fox said grimly. Those aren't good odds. Tony was monitoring the long-range sensors. The swarm mothership had stopped just outside the broken perimeter, but smaller ships were streaming past it toward human space. They're not waiting, he reported. Swarm scouts are already heading for our colonies. Stone nodded. They want to secure territory before we can mount a defense. It's exactly what they did 2,000 years ago. Dr. Sam Miller was working with the Guardian ship's medical bay, helping to wake more of the ancient crew. These people had experience fighting the swarm that couldn't be replaced. Colonel, Commander's voice announced, incoming transmission from the swarm mothership. The main screen flickered and changed. The image that appeared made Tony's stomach turn. It was human-shaped, but wrong somehow. The eyes were too bright, the movements too quick. Humans of Earth, the thing said in a voice that sounded like several people talking at once. We are the swarm. We offer you the gift of unity. Join with us willingly, and your suffering will be brief. Stone stepped forward. We've heard that offer before. Our answer hasn't changed. The swarm creature tilted its head. You are the Guardian Stone. The swarm remembers you. Your resistance has been noted and catalogued. It ends now. Go to hell, Stone said simply. The creature smiled with too many teeth. Hell is a concept we have absorbed from many species. We will show it to you before the end. The transmission cut off. Immediately, alarms started ringing throughout the fleet. Massive swarm fleet movement. Amy Ross reported from the Horizon Dawn. They're coming right at us. The space around them filled with enemy ships. Thousands of them, all flowing and twisting in ways that hurt to look at. The swarm mother ship followed behind them like a dark moon. All ships, engage, Admiral Hayes ordered. The battle began with a flash of light that lit up space for millions of kilometers. Modern human ships fired everything they had while the Guardian vessels used their specialized anti-swarm weapons. Direct hits on multiple targets, Nina reported. The weapon modifications are working, but there are too many of them. Tony watched ships from both fleets explode as swarm weapons tore through their hulls. The enemy was taking losses too, but they had numbers on their side. Iron resolve to all Guardian ships, Stone announced. Execute final protocol. Pete looked up from his station. Colonel, are you sure? There's no coming back from that. It's what we've been saving up for. Time to spend it all. Tony didn't understand until he saw the Guardian ships changing course. They were heading straight for the swarm mother ship. What are you doing? He demanded. Every Guardian ship has a core overload system, Stone explained. If we can get close enough to that mothership, we can detonate all our reactors at once. That's suicide. Yes, it is. But it might also cripple the swarm's command structure long enough for your people to regroup. The iron resolve shook as enemy fire pounded its shields. Around them, other Guardian ships were making the same desperate charge toward the massive enemy vessel. Guardian 7 is down, Nina reported. Guardian 3 has lost main power. Keep going, Stone ordered. All power to engines. Tony grabbed the communication system. Jake, get the Horizon Dawn out of here. Tell everyone what happened here. Tony, we're not leaving you. Yes, you are. That's an order from someone who's about to die for you. The iron resolve was getting closer to the swarm mother ship. Tony could see weapon ports opening all along its surface, preparing to fire. Guardian 12 has reached detonation range, Commander announced, initiating core overload. The explosion was visible even from their distance. The Guardian ship disappeared in a ball of light that tore a massive hole in the mothership's hull. Guardian 4, detonating now. Another explosion, another wound in the alien vessel. But it kept coming, its living hull already beginning to repair itself. We're in range, Pete reported. Core overload ready. Stone looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had fought beside him for centuries. It's been an honor serving with you all. Tony felt tears in his eyes. Sir, there has to be another way. There is, Stone said quietly. You make sure humanity remembers. You make sure they stay ready, because the swarm never stops learning, never stops adapting. The colonel turned to Commander. Initiate core overload. Maximum yield. Core overload initiated. Detonation in 60 seconds. Stone opened a channel to the human fleet. Admiral Hayes, this is Colonel Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet. The watch is ending. The rest is up to you. Tony closed his eyes as the countdown reached 0. The explosion that followed was larger than anything in recorded history. The Iron Resolve and 3 other Guardian ships detonated simultaneously, their combined energy tearing the swarm mother ship apart. When the light faded, the massive alien vessel was breaking up. Smaller swarm ships stopped fighting and began retreating toward their own space. Tony found himself on the Horizon Dawn, having been evacuated at the last minute against his will. Through the view screen, he watched pieces of the mothership drift through space. Is it over? Kate asked quietly. Admiral Hayes answered from the fleet command ship. No, it's not over, but we've won this battle. The swarm has retreated to regroup. What now? Jake asked. Now we do what the Guardians did, Hayes replied. We set up a new perimeter. We stay ready, and we make sure that their sacrifice wasn't in vain. Tony looked at the debris field where the Iron Resolve had made its final stand. Colonel Stone and his crew had held the line for 2,000 years. Now it was humanity's turn to take up that responsibility. "Captain," Amy Ross called out, "I'm receiving signals from other human colonies. Word is spreading about the swarm threat. The whole fleet is mobilizing." Jake nodded. "Good. It's time humanity learned the truth about what's been protecting us all these years." As the combined fleet began setting up new defensive positions, Tony thought about the Guardians. They had fought and died believing they were the last humans alive, protecting a civilization they thought was lost. Instead, they had made it possible for humanity to grow and thrive across the galaxy. Their sacrifice had given billions of people the chance to live in peace. Now those same people would have to learn to fight. The swarm would be back, and next time they would be ready for human tactics. But humanity would be ready too. They had the knowledge passed down by the Guardians, the technology to fight back, and the will to protect what they had built. The long watch was over, but the real war was just beginning. And for the first time in 2,000 years, humanity would face it united, aware, and ready to fight for their future. The Guardians had shown them the way. Now, it was time to follow it.